Okay. I put on the recording.
Yusuf, was the one with Armenia recorded? Because I was interested in seeing that. I just got the dates mixed up.
No, I didn't record that. No, that was a sort of a free talk.
Oh, okay.
But next time I'll make a habit of recording these. I'm just getting organized. Okay, well, welcome to Peace Talk. This was first to fill in when the council had served some extra meetings for a while, and then it got, for some members it got too much, but for others we sort of got used to the extra time. So I initiated this to fill in the slot, but I hope to get more interesting people like the present company, and maybe this will be more people will come and serve a new. It meets first and third Tuesdays, and if applicable, the fifth Tuesday of the month. The next Thursday, I'll start at promptly at 5:30 because I have a meeting at 7:30. That's the New Haven Peace Commission, which is a city commission. I am a member. And if any people want to draw attention to issues that I could present before the commission, please let me know. I don't know. I think it will be a good idea if at some time I launch a initiative to sister city with the West Bank town, because I think New Haven is a city with a Israeli town, and I think it would be a good balance, and I think it will require some work, but that's something I have in mind. Anyway, the issue, this was initiated because Shelley will tell us the Jewish Voice for Peace Facebook page was taken down, and I was outraged and felt we ought to do something about it, and there's a broader issue of censorship of Palestine in social media and on the internet. So, okay, Shelley, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go, and I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about the general ecosystem that is supporting these social media platforms censoring speech, because it's not just the platforms themselves that are out of nowhere censoring things. It's really, there's a lot going on that's causing them, it's creating an environment which makes them feel like it's okay to censor, or even feel like they need to censor. And I would talk about three areas where that's happening. Basically education, academia, and government. Education, academia, government, and media. And what we see are attempts to manipulate these entities to silence voices that are advocating for justice and human rights in Palestine and in Israel. And so I would start with academia and education, really. And it's really at all three levels of the education system. And I'll just give a few brief examples. At the primary level, back in last May of 2019, the author Golbar Bashi was going to have a reading at the Highland Park, New Jersey library of her book, P is for Palestine. And a bunch of folks who identify as part of the Jewish community of that town, self-identified, basically put up a whole stink, and the New Jersey and the library in Highland Park canceled the event. There was a big counter protest about the cancellation, and the library decided to reschedule it in October of last year. But they put in the proviso that that you had to register for the event. And so all of the folks who've been protesting against the event registered, so there weren't any spaces left for people to actually attend the event. And the event did happen. Golbar Bashi did come and read her book there, but there were very few people there, and the people who were there were the ones who had tried to squash it in the first place. At the secondary level, just as an example, there was a movement to teach Arabic in San Francisco schools a few years ago. It was approved unanimously by the school board in San Francisco, but the Jewish Community Relations Council and the Anti-Defamation League fought it for 3 years. And finally, AROC, the Arab Resource and Organizing Center, finally won that battle, and Arabic is being taught in the schools. It was fought on all sorts of ridiculous grounds of anti-Semitism and racism, and it's just crazy. And then at the university level, there's a few things going on there. One big thing is an organization called the Canary Mission, which is basically a website that's built to vilify people who are speaking out for Palestine. And it's really focused against students and faculty. The intent being to silence them so that they can't get, so that they will basically self-censor to avoid missing out on getting jobs, getting positions in at universities. Because when you Google these people, you tend to find their Canary Mission profile, and it's always accusing them of being being anti-Semitic, of being hostile to the state of Israel, you know, just all sorts of stuff that that would make people think twice about whether they want to hire someone or admit someone who is going to give them problems with their advocacy. A couple of faculty cases, and the Canary Mission list is also used by the state of Israel to keep people from entering Israel, and it's suspected that it's used by the FBI and other US government entities as well. A couple of faculty cases, just this month, the prominent academic Valentina Asarofa had a job offer rescinded by the University of Toronto Faculty of Law after a major donor reportedly expressed concerns in private over her past work on the issue of Israel's human rights abuses in Palestine. And then, of course, you probably all know about the case of Stephen Salaita, who was highly critical of the Israeli invasion of Gaza and Operation Protective Edge back in 2014. And he lost his position, a tenured position, at the University of Illinois. And then finally, there was Mark Lamont Hill, who is a tenured professor of media studies at Temple, and also was a political commentator on CNN. And he made the ghastly sin of, at a UN meeting, saying, "We cannot endorse a narrow politics of respectability that shames Palestinians for resisting, for refusing to do nothing in the face of state violence and ethnic cleansing." For that, he was fired from CNN. Temple got all hot under the collar, and they tried to get rid of him. But fortunately, there was a counter protest for their attempts to fire him, and he's still teaching at Temple and is a very strong voice for Palestine. At the government level, one of the big things that's happening in government is the weaponizing of a document that was produced by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, acronym IHRA. And it's basically a definition of anti-Semitism. And it's pretty complete, and most of the document is actually, it's actually pretty good. It's got a lot of good stuff in there, but it's being used by the government, and in particular by the Department of Education and by the State Department, as a weapon to silence voices in favor of Palestine by using the IHRA definition to define what anti-Semitism is and to silence criticism of Israel. It's basically, as usual, saying criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. There's also anti-BDS legislation. 25 states now have, over 25 states now have laws which require individuals to sign a pledge that they won't engage in any boycott related to Israel. The US Congress is considering similar legislation. Just a couple of cases there. Speech pathologist Bahia Amawi in Texas lost her job because she had advocated for BDS, and she actually, along with Palestine Legal, brought a case against the state of Texas, and district court actually ruled in favor of her, but eventually a higher court ruled against. But in the meantime, the state of Texas had modified the law to say that it didn't apply to individuals, it only applied to businesses with more than 10 employees. So they sort of got around it and didn't have to deal with the constitutional issue. I think they knew they would have lost the constitutional issue. Another similar case happened in the state of Kansas with a math teacher whose name was Esther Kuntz. So the reason I bring all of this up is these are all things, every single one of these is because there's a lot of pressure from, people say pro-Israel. I don't think people are pro-Israel. I think they're just racist, and they're trying to, and they're right wing, and they're trying to silence people speaking out for Palestine. And I think it's that environment that's making all these platforms do what they're doing. So to get to what happened with JVP New Haven, we had a Facebook site, a Facebook page. We had about 1,200 followers on it. On June 2nd, I got onto Facebook, which I don't do that often, but I did get on because I'm an administrator for the site and I do look at it occasionally. And I got this dialogue from Facebook saying, it looks like recent activity on your page doesn't follow Facebook page policies regarding impersonation and pretending to be an individual or business. I complained to them. They gave me a chance to say I didn't agree with it. So I said, I clicked the button that said, don't agree. And that's the last time I've been able to communicate with them. Every time I've tried to write to them, I've never gotten any response. I've worked with Palestine Legal and also with JVP National to contact them, and we've gotten no response whatsoever. So they're basically accusing us of this. They're accusing us of impersonation. I don't even know who I'm impersonating, which is nuts. Many of you are familiar with, probably all of you are familiar with Noura Erakat. Noura was actually the leader of the first trip I took to Palestine, just a wonderful, brilliant woman, a human rights attorney, author, and she's on the faculty at Rutgers. Noura's cousin was murdered by the Israeli police at a checkpoint a few months ago. And Noura put up a post that they took down, and they said to Noura, your post goes against our community standards on harassment and bullying. No one else can see your post. We have these standards, and get this, because we want everyone on Facebook to feel respected and welcome. What did Noura's post say? Noura's post said this: Ahmed Erakat, 27, beautiful young man, a son, a brother, fiance, my baby cousin. Israeli cowards shot him multiple times, left him to bleed for 1.5 hours and blamed him for his death. They say he tried to ram his car into a soldier. Trash, coward lies. Tonight was his sister's wedding. He was driving to pick her up from the salon to take her to her wedding. Facebook recently created an oversight board to deal with their censorship of content. And one of the people they appointed to it was Emi Palmor, who was a former general director of the Israeli Minister of Justice's cyber unit. Palmor was responsible for increased takedowns of thousands of pieces of Palestinian content and imposed severe limitations on freedom of expression and opinion, especially about Palestine. They rarely censor anything coming out of the settlements and out of Israel, violent or not, but a great amount of censorship of Palestinian posts. There is a campaign to nominate Palestinian attorney Rania Muharreb as a replacement for Amy Palmore. And I will post the URL in the chat once I'm done speaking. And then finally, with Facebook, the Israeli poet Darin Tatur was arrested and got 18 months for incitement to violence and supporting terrorist organizations for posting her poem on Facebook, a poem whose name is Resist My People, Resist Them. And finally, moving away from Facebook for the final case, many of you are probably familiar with The Lancet, which is among the world's oldest and best known general medicine medical journals. In March, a few Boston area physicians sent a letter to The Lancet regarding the situation in Gaza. And as part of their letter said, as the world is consumed by the spread of coronavirus disease, COVID-19, it should be of no surprise that epidemics and indeed pandemics are disproportionately violent to populations burdened by poverty, military occupation, discrimination, and institutionalized oppression. The Lancet recently removed that letter from their site with no explanation. And you might, once again say, well, what's going on there? Why are they doing this? In 2014, there was a campaign against The Lancet after the Lancet published an open letter, which was signed by thousands of people. It was an open letter for the people of Gaza protesting the effect of Israel's Operation Protective Edge military assault on Gaza. There were threats against the life of the Lancet editor. They're gun shy, and so when they get anything that's going to be problematic, they pull it. What I'm going to do now is post a bunch of URLs in the chat that relate to some of the things that I've discussed, and you can have a look at them at your leisure. Okay, any discussion, questions?
Yes. Well, these we rely on these Facebook, Zoom, and or Instagram, what have you, and they are actually private companies, and we don't have the usual. They're not like the telephone or other communication devices. So I think that seriously poses a problem. So I wonder if you could address that. And I wonder if by impersonation, impersonation, they mean that maybe it's a Jewish person cannot say something for Palestinian rights. So could you comment on this?
Well, like, as I said at the beginning, with many of these cases, they start with some group. Sometimes you know who the group is. Sometimes it's just an ad hoc group of people getting together to complain about something. I wouldn't be at all surprised if people complain to Facebook about the JVP New Haven site. I mean, there's plenty of people in New Haven area who don't like JVP, don't like the fact that we exist. But the thing is, they have every right to complain about us. I don't care if they complain about us. I'll complain about them. People have to say what they want to say. The problem is not with the people who are complaining. The problem is with Facebook and the other platforms who are, listening to those folks, and whether it's with them or whether it's the library or whoever it is, or the Lancet, is with people who are in a position of, or organizations that are in a position to publish information and to be a platform for expressing opinions. They have to handle it correctly. They can't just take down a site, tell you you're impersonating because someone out in Woodbridge said it in. Sorry, Faisal. Complained about it and give no recourse.
So Shelley,
Yeah.
so I imagine that other chapters of JVP also have Facebook pages. Theirs were not taken down? And
Yeah, good question, Nina. So when it happened back in June, I immediately got in touch with all the other chapters, and nobody, neither any of the chapters nor National, had had anything happen at that time. To my knowledge, no chapter has had their entire page taken down. They have had individual posts taken down, but I haven't seen any cases where an entire chapter's page was taken down. Although today or yesterday, I did get, this was kind of on a separate thread, but I did find out that one of the members of JVP did have his page taken down, his personal page. But no, no chapters have had their page taken down. And so that makes me think that either one of two things happened. Either there was local, group targeting JVP New Haven, which wouldn't surprise me at all, or Facebook was just trying out some process for reviewing content, and someone who didn't know what the hell they were doing just took it down, and it's really lost in the shuffle of the millions, billions of pages and posts and everything, and it's really nothing. Nobody even cares about it or knows about it. So I don't know which of those it is, but I think it's probably one of them.
Have you tried to reestablish the page?
No, Faisal, I haven't. And the reason I haven't was because I guess I could. Up until quite recently, we were trying to get it restored. And we have, over 1,000 followers, and reestablishing it, we'd have to reestablish that. And so I haven't done that, but I think given the reactions we have had from Facebook, I think it might now be time to do that.
Do you have a personal page?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you could use your personal page to tell people about your new page.
Yeah.
We could all use our personal
Yeah.
pages to tell about your new page and help you rebuild that 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
Shelley,
And some of the, of the 1,000 followers, a lot of them probably people seeing one post saying, I like, I'm for Palestine. They just like our page, and maybe they're living in, they're not any really. I'm appreciative, very appreciative of their support and their solidarity, but yeah, we definitely need to build it back up. So I'm really, really glad to hear you guys saying that.
Yeah.
Shelley.
So, go ahead.
Shelley, this is Henry. I'm wondering how you've engaged allies in getting to Facebook. How do we as allies, members of Jewish Voice for Peace, but allies as well, get to Facebook? If you can't reach them, and we still have a Facebook page, we can reach them.
Well, I have a personal Facebook page, Henry, and two interesting things, at least. One of them is that they don't really give you any way of reaching them. So it's not only that they stonewall any attempts to reach them, but they don't really give you a good path to say, you took my page down, I protest. And I can tell you what they told me when I hit the disagree button. I give you the exact text for that. But I did find some other ways to get to them. From me personally. But what I did once that wasn't working was I happened to be attending a Zoom from some other organization. I forget what it was, but one of the speakers at the Zoom was the person at Palestine Legal who is specifically responsible for this type of thing. And so Palestine Legal they have been terrific with this, and they've been working in conjunction with JVP National, the media people at JVP National. So that, and they have contacts at Facebook. They knew who to write to. They knew, it wasn't just sending to, into the abyss. It was definitely writing to individuals at Facebook, and none of them responded.
Shelley, now is your JVP page is a page under your personal page? Is it like, you know, how you can have a personal page and then you create pages underneath that page?
No, it's an organizational page.
Yeah, you may want to do it the other way. You may go to your personal page and then create a JVP page. Like, for instance, my museum page is, I mean, I have a personal page, and under my page, I have 2 pages that I created. That way, even if they close that page, you still have a connection to it, and then you could still use it to appeal the decision, and it will be tied to the page that they closed, as opposed to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish, Faisal.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so what was I going to say? Oh yeah, one interesting thing about this was that for about June, July, August, September, for about 3 months, although the page had been taken down from the public, and if you tried to go there, you wouldn't see it, you wouldn't get anywhere, I was able to see it. It was still there because I'm the administrator. And and then Facebook, I think at the end of August, changed their at least their web-based user interface. And
you can still use the old one.
You can still use the old one, but yeah. That's true. And right around the end of August, I lost my ability to see the page. So up until then, I had the content. I could see I had followers. We had the followers, but then he took it away.
Yeah, they may have suspended the page during that time and eventually deleted it.
Yeah, I'll bet. I don't. Palestine Legal does not think it's deleted. They don't delete anything.
Yeah, but I mean, they're deleted from access so that you couldn't access it. But I'm suggesting that you use your personal page to create the JVP page.
Okay.
This way, your personal page is still active and it's connected to the page that's being compromised, and then this way you have a way of appealing it.
When you do that, do the followers of the page have any idea at all that it's tied to your page?
I'm not sure. I mean, you can go to the museum page, see if you can tell.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I manage 2 pages under my personal one. One is the museum and another one called Palestine Art Week. Okay. You can create any number of pages you want underneath it. So you could actually create like JVP1, JVP2, JVP3, and have backups of pages so that in case one is closed, you just revert to the other ones.
Yeah, I love the idea of restarting it.
You could tell people to like all of them so that follow all of them.
Shelley.
Yeah, Henry. John was raising his hand. Did you have something to say, John?
No, I just wanted to talk a bit about the general suppression of Palestinian rights and how widespread it is. I mean, you hit on a lot of the major points, but here in Connecticut, you know, we've had that kind of suppression as well. You may recall it was a little more than a year ago at UConn Law School. We hosted a program with Linda Thesor that was shut down from the top. From Susan Herbst was involved in shutting that down, and we had to do a pretty widespread organizational effort to have the program go forward. And in part thanks to Rabbi Herb Brockman, who agreed to participate in the program, gave the dean of the law school the sense that okay, it was, I guess in his words, balanced, which was an unfortunate way of having to go forward, but it did go forward. It was successful. But the strange thing about it is that when we arrived at the UConn Law School for the program, there was, you know, the metal detectors and so many policemen. I mean, you thought you were walking into a riot or something. But nonetheless, we had over 100 people attend, and it was a good event. UMass, you know, had a similar experience up there where they attempted to have Linda Thesor and other speakers and
Dave Zirin.
Yeah, and they tried to get Mark, right? And they tried to get an injunction to stop that. Of course, the injunction failed. But There's a lot of oppression such as that. The UE, United Electrical Workers Union, back, I think it was 2014, 2015, had passed a national resolution, and the legal arm of Israel reached out and tried to bring a National Labor Relations Board case against them on a stupid boycott theory that ultimately failed. And there's a very good NLRB decision on that case. Here in Connecticut, also at the Connecticut AFL-CIO, we, in 2015, at the Connecticut State AFL-CIO convention, we passed a resolution, a very strong resolution supporting Palestinian rights and calling on the national AFL-CIO to consider the tactic of boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And speaking from the floor were a number of trade unionists that we had brought to Palestine to meet with Palestinian trade unionists. And 3 weeks after we passed that, the Connecticut AFL-CIO office was under such an attack by people calling and claiming anti-Semitism, and from federal and state legislators as well, doing the same thing. And the national president of the AFL-CIO declared the resolution void in a most undemocratic fashion because it had passed overwhelmingly with over 400 delegates in attendance. So, I mean, this is an ongoing struggle, and it's been going on and on for a long time. And I think that the tide is shifting a little bit. We see more resistance and more success in standing up and fighting. But I certainly wholeheartedly endorse your effort to put the page back up. I think you should, and I think we all should support that effort and try to get as many more people liking the page as possible as one show of resistance.
Yeah, we've noticed recently that Facebook has slowed down the circulation of anything you post. Mm-hmm. Like we have 18,000 followers, yet we post something and only like 200-300 people are given an opportunity to see it. And we can't figure out what they really want us to pay money to actually promote the posts that we have.
Wow.
And it's been steadily going down. What they're, I mean, this may not have nothing to do with Palestine or anything. Maybe this is just a process they're going through. Particularly if your page is a commercial page.
Shelley, I have two suggestions.
I see you in the chat. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
in the chat. Let me just say them.
Yeah.
One is collective action with regard to the specific page that's been censored, both to the public and to Facebook. And even while you're working up a new page, I think we should get JVP National and the other allies to include specific posts, however we do it, through petitions, whatever we do, getting lots of posts about this specific censorship and asking Facebook to publicly explain itself and reverse. So I think this to me is the attack on JVP. New Haven is the one of many attacks on progressive speech. So the second thing is a question. Have you asked Facebook for all of the information it's collected on that particular page? So I asked Facebook on my personal page, which I use as a political page, and I got almost a gigabyte of stuff from Facebook, because its policy is to collect all that information it collects and then it sends you. And that might be very interesting to have. So those two suggestions.
How do you ask them for the information if the page isn't there?
Well, somehow, if you had access to the page before, and in the, I don't know if you'll get it back, but in the settings you can ask
Okay.
for that information. So I think you have to find some way to get into the settings. There's two separate things.
Yep.
And I see from Susan that JVP National is focusing on Palestinian voices being silenced, but I think that we can do more than that and ask this question, because it seems to me there's something obviously very fishy going on, given that other JVP chapters have not been silenced. And I think we need to point this out and make a case out of it. That's my suggestion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible, like Shelley said, that they have some sort of an algorithm that is pretty rough, and it just happened to trip. That the website tripped that algorithm, and like to me, it happens to me periodically. Not the same thing, but like I wanted to boost a particular event, and I got a response that the request was denied. Because the event involves a social or political event, and then I disagreed with it, and then I asked for a review. They give you an opportunity to ask for a review, and then like an hour later, it was approved. When somebody looked at it and realized that's ridiculous, it's about art and about music or something, and they approved it, so it was not a problem. So it could be as simple as that. I mean, there may be malicious intent behind it, but it could be as simple as just administrative problems that they have.
Right. So I said I would share what they told me when I disagreed, and they said, "You disagreed with the decision." Thank you, Facebook. You heard me. We usually offer the choice to request a review and follow up if we got decisions wrong. This was back in June. We have fewer reviewers available right now because of the coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah.
We're trying hard to prioritize reviewing content with the most potential for harm. This means we may not be able to follow up with you. Your feedback helps us do better in the future. Thank you for your understanding.
Did you ask for a review?
Well, you can't ask for a review because there's no channel. I mean,
They give you an opportunity to ask for a review, though.
No, they don't. No,
They did?
not this case. And I went through other channels, I went through other pathways from Facebook.
Yeah, but that even the response that you got was no option to review for it.
No. The only option I had was to disagree with the original decision, and I disagreed with it. And then when I disagreed with it, I got what I just read. What I just read to you.
Yeah.
They said you could they said that you could ask for a review, and then they didn't give you an opportunity to do it.
No, they didn't.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
No, they said we usually offer the chance to request a review, but they didn't. There was no. I looked all over the place. I mean, if I missed something, then I'm all ears to see how to go forward with this. Resuscitating the original. That'd be great. But
was that an email that you received, or was it a message through Facebook?
It's a dialogue. I never got any emails at all about this.
Yeah. Okay.
I did screen captures of every dialogue so that I would have an audit trail.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while since then, but if it was if there was a way to ask for a review, that would have.
Yeah. Well, I can go back and see if there's a way of doing that.
If you can get back in the site.
Yeah, no, I can't get back in the site, but I could do it from my personal ID, because they know that I was the administrator.
Yeah.
I'll double back and see if there's any pathway I was missing. I don't think there is, but I'll double.
There might be. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might hear from me if I don't find anything. See if you can suggest anything.
Yeah. By the way, while I have you guys, this Saturday we're showing Alice Rothschild's movie "Voices Over the Divide." Across the Divide, yeah, at noontime. We haven't put it up yet, but in case any of you is interested.
All right, well, Nina should probably tell you her experience with that.
What?
I'm
Right,
trying,
Nina?
what was my experience with that?
With Voices Across the Divide, didn't you meet with
Oh, Brockman?
Herb Brockman and Bob Gelback and get it to be shown at the
Yeah, I'm
Congregation
trying to
Mission this week?
remember. She came and spoke. We had her come and speak, and then,
Yeah.
he cut off the discussion at the end. He didn't like the direction it was at his synagogue.
Yeah.
didn't
They
like-
didn't like what she had to say.
Well, he didn't like the direction that the discussion was going in.
Oh.
So he just cut it. It was supposed to go till 9 and it was 8:45. He just cut it off. He said, time to stop.
You
Yeah,
can send them a note, tell them they can watch it again, and then Alice is going to be on for a discussion and Q&A after the film on Saturday.
Faisal, do you have any? Your comments are very informative and to the point. But I'll give you a chance. Do you have any thing to say in the form of a short presentation?
About the subject?
Yes.
I think Shelley did a good job about it. I don't have much to add. I mean, we have not, the museum has not seen anything of this nature, except for about 3 weeks ago, some crazy woman called my phone and she's talking about what the hell would anybody want to put a Palestinian museum in a town like Woodbridge? She said, like, you're driving the price of houses down. And she said, I just tried calling and somebody with a foreign accent tried to talk to me or something. I told her she was a racist and she should hang up. And until she calls again, I'm going to report her to the police for harassment. I'd hate to tell her, but our building is the best commercial building in Woodbridge. And we're not driving anybody's prices down. If anything, the neighborhood we're in, we're like the best structure in that neighborhood.
You're keeping everybody else's taxes down. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. No, she was a crazy person. I didn't really pay attention. Anyway.
By the way, another announcement on Monday at 1 o'clock, beginning at 1 o'clock, there's a Palestinian concert that at Elizabeth Park in Hartford, sponsored by Tree of Life.
In real physical concert?
Yes, physical concert, okay. Social distancing, masks. It's outside in Elizabeth Park.
Yeah. What time on?
1 o'clock.
On Monday?
Yeah, Monday.
Okay.
That's to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, John, right?
That's correct.
Or it's a total coincidence, which I doubt.
No, it's not a coincidence.
We do have on Sunday. We do have an artist and a musician at 12 o'clock also program. Somebody from Lebanon, Palestinian artist, will be talking about art and playing some music, some songs.
Faisal, how well have your Zooms been attended?
Well, they vary anywhere from like 30, 40 to 100 sometimes. A couple we had over 100. And then great. When we do it on Facebook also, we get 2,000-3,000 views after the fact. But no, we get a lot of good discussions. We've been showing films every Saturday for the last 3 months. And a lot of programming. We have a new cooking show based on the Palestine cookbook by Sami Tamimi. So if any one of you want to cook something from that book, you can participate. We can do an episode with you.
Unfortunately, there are no replicators that we could, like in Star Trek, have virtual food or beam the food to our.
I mean, like you see them cooking and stuff on video, and you watch how it's cooked. And I mean, the idea is to create a conversation with the audience and to promote the idea of Palestine. These dishes are Palestinian dishes, and kind of reclaim the fact that this is Palestinian and it's not Israeli as some people claim it is.
Yes, I think they've appropriated quite a number of Palestinian and Arab cooking as Israeli.
Faisal, has the restaurant that's close to the museum been able to stay open?
It is still open, yeah, and people go there. We get takeouts from there once in a while.
Yeah.
Is that Rawa?
Yeah, it's still in business. It's open.
Well,
There's also a new cafe nearby, but there's a Syrian architect who he opened a cafe there right on the just 1 block from there. So it's a very nice cafe actually. He sells sweets and desserts from Middle Eastern sweets and coffee, and just interesting.
and you're doing an exhibit in Washington?
Yeah, we have a physical exhibit actually that's open now for a couple of months in cooperation with a local gallery there called the Zenith Gallery. It's across the street from the Trump International Hotel, oddly enough.
Did you get any flack from the other Palestinian museums?
What other museum?
In Washington, I think there's a.
They're dwarfed by our presence. Don't worry. They're not doing much, and you know their space is about 800 square feet, which is very, very small, and they're not really doing a whole lot.
I think it's a little more than a bookstore with.
No, the bookstore is down below it. There's a bookstore underneath it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now we actually are building a bookstore. I mean, we have a bookshop at the museum now. We're selling about 15, 20 books, including the top 3 embroidery books. The one by Hanan Munayyer, and also there's one by Wadad Kawar as well. And there's the 3rd one by Margaret Skinner. So these are the top 3 embroidery books, and we import some of them from the Middle East. And we're also selling the new atlas, the Atlas of Palestine, 1870 to 1877, by Salman Abu Sittah. That atlas shows Palestine before any settlements were there, before the Zionist movement started. So you could see the pure Palestine before it got colonized. And we have a few other interesting books.
The rock climbing book.
Yeah, we have the rock. It's sitting right on my desk right here. Rock climbing. Yeah, we also sell a whole number of prints. These are. You're talking about this thing here, right? You can't see it because
you have to turn off you have to turn off your background.
Yeah, I have to. I've got a. We have 5 or 6 copies left for sale. I gotta turn the virtual thing, and it gets really dark. There you go.
Okay.
And the young man that wrote that is from West Hartford.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, it's interesting. In fact,
yeah, graduated Hall High School here.
Yeah. Yeah, we're also still selling the this book that was published by Mecca. This is a child's view of Gaza. That's the book, that the exhibit that was censored in San Francisco, and we were the first to actually show that exhibit, and it's still up. You know, it's a permanent exhibit now. We have it at the museum. So,
by the way, the organizations that worked to get that censored. I believe it's the same organization that worked
Yeah.
against the teaching of Arabic. And
The
there's a
Jewish
couple of
Community Center of the East Bay.
of the East Bay.
Yeah.
So for a long period of time, it was not really clear who was funding the Canary Mission list.
Yeah.
And then finally, the Jewish Forward did an expose. They actually were getting funding from the Jewish Federation, Community Federation in San Francisco.
I don't know if you
And-
see it here, but it says the East Bay in the bottom there.
Yeah.
There. Federation of East Bay.
Okay, so that might be a different federation, because the one that I was familiar with that was doing this was the Jewish Community Federation. Maybe it's the same one, I'm not sure.
That's the same one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've also been involved in funding some of the Islamophobic stuff with Richard
Yeah,
Spencer,
yeah.
and that that connection is there also. So they're really just like playing all their cards.
Well, anyway,
I need to
we need to wrap up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yusuf, for organizing. And, thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and thanks
and,
to all for your support.
We invite you to participate in our activities on Saturdays and Sundays, always at noontime. And I'm sure you get our emails. John, do you get our emails?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
good. Yeah. It's
You know,
just,
I stopped getting them. I haven't gotten any in the last maybe month or two. Now that you
okay.
mention it.
Can you go on our website and add yourself?
Yeah, okay.
Just palestinemuseum.us and click on there's a thing that says add me to your email list. Or better yet,
Dot what? Palestine.
palestinemuseum.us.
US. Okay.
Yeah. Better yet, if you sign up for one of our events, you'll get on it automatically.
Well, I've been to several of your events, and I used to get them all the time. I don't know why I stopped getting them.
Well, try again.
Okay.
File
an appeal.
Yeah, right.
Ask for a review.
Yeah, right.
Maybe somehow you got bounced or something, or you mistyped your email or something, or who knows. But
I hadn't even thought about that until you just mentioned it, and I thought, yeah, I haven't gotten any for a while.
Yeah, Yusuf is there every week. He has season tickets. By the way, all these events are free. There's no, you don't have to pay for any of the events that we have. All the films, all the shows.
All right, take care, everybody.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
John, before you leave, I'll give you the short answer. I believe that rock formation represents the columns of Iran. And there's a good reason to believe that Wadi Rum was originally Iran. It's in the Quran, Iran of the columns.
Interesting. Okay.
But the identification of the rock formation as the columns is mine. The tested has archaeological support. Maybe sometime I'll give a more academic talk on that.
Okay. Very good. I have to run.
Okay.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you in 2 weeks. Okay, bye. I'm ending.